My name's Don Forrester, and for a career I worked with parasites and diseases of free-ranging wild animals. Well, I was born and raised in Massachusetts on a chicken farm. My uncle lived across the street. He was a scoutmaster, and he got me interested in Boy Scouts, and that got me interested in wildlife and forestry. And so I went to, for my bachelor's degree, I went to the University of Massachusetts and studied wildlife and minored in forestry. And looked to do graduate work. I wanted to look at schools in the West was because I had spent the summer of my freshman year in a Forest Service lookout tower out in the state of Washington in the Cascade Mountains, and became very interested in mountains and animals that lived in the mountains. I had an offer of a fellowship at the University of Montana to study lungworm disease in bighorn sheep. I knew what bighorn sheep was, but I didn't know what lungworms were, so I said, but I'll figure that out when I get there. So I accepted that fellowship and went to Montana. I spent actually 2 years doing my master's and 3 more years working there as a research associate on that research problem on lungworms of bighorn sheep. And I got very interested in diseases of wild animals through that experience. And I didn't plan to do that, but because I was involved in it on a daily basis, I became interested in that. One story that I remember, one incident that I remember quite sharply was when I was in the lookout tower in western Washington. Source of water for this lookout tower was about a 3/4 of a mile down the ridge, down the mountain, at a little spring. And one night, and during the night, I heard the scream of a woman. It sounded like a woman was being murdered or killed, and I immediately went to the phone and called up the ranger back at the ranger station and told him about it. He said, well, don't worry about it. Go down in the morning and look around and see what you can find. And so in the morning, as soon as it was daylight, I snuck down there and noticed in the mud around the spring there was some tracks of a big cat. So I figured out, well, probably this was a mountain lion that was screaming. And they do make a sound that sounds a lot like a woman screaming. I guess I was pleased with the information I was able to gain by my 35 years here in Florida on wildlife, diseases of wild birds and diseases of wild mammals, which I eventually wrote up as a book, 2 books, one on each of those topics to summarize all the things we had done over the years and the students that I had. I think I'm probably most proud of interacting with the graduate students that I had and helping them to start their careers and move on to a nice situation. I think the best way to somebody like that would be to actually have a chance to shadow a field parasitologist, somebody who works in the field, works with wildlife, to see what it's really like, to get a chance to get their feet wet, so to speak, before they make a decision to go into that field. So, well, I think as people get out of the house and out into the field, they realize that there's more to life than their own little niche that they have, and just I've often enjoyed the times I've spent living in the wild and starting as a young boy and even up until the present time.